I'd like to say hello from Sweden, and I'm here on an island outside of Stockholm, and my wife Ulla and I are in quarantine. I suspect that many of you are in quarantine too. You know, all of us having our lives reshaped by the arrival of the coronavirus. And here in this miracle of our lives, you know, we're able to connect in the sacred community, you know, in spite of all of these obstacles. So I'm very, very happy to be here with you all. And I want to give some thanks, first off, to the members of the board of the Dolphin Star Temple. And thank you, board members and Dolphin Star Temple, for sponsoring this event and sponsoring this whole series of live meditations that we're doing, because this is a special time in the evolution of the Earth, and making these connections now is so important for us. It's so important, particularly as we look ahead to what the world is going to be at the end of this current episode. So my thanks to all the board members. And I also need to give thanks to all the teachers who've helped me to come to this place in my life. I started off studying with shamans from Peru, and studied with them for many years, and I'm very grateful for everything I learned about honoring the earth and doing healing in an earth-centered way. And then I met Amorah Quan Yin, and I learned so much more about healing from Amorah than anyone else. It totally changed my life. It turned me around, and I found my path, and I found the work that I wanted to do as a healer. So I live in Stockholm, Sweden now, after having lived most of my life in Chicago, and I work as a healer. That's my primary calling. So for everyone who's been here for some of these meditations, let me just say at the beginning that we're going to try and experiment and do something a little bit different. We're going to see if we can't have a little space at the end for questions. So I've asked my good friend, Katerina Shovra, to monitor the things that you're posting during this coming hour, to extract out whatever might be particularly relevant questions or observations that you might want to have shared. And that's just because I'm asking her to do it because I can't follow it while we're in the midst of all of this. But we'll save it at the end, and so that after our hour's work, we'll have some extra time for questions and discussion. And we'll see how well we can make that work. And this comes up because, in particular, you know, the topic that we're dealing with here this evening of freeing yourself from collective anxiety, you know, brings up lots of questions about the coronavirus and its impact on us. But in this particular case, also questions about the collective consciousness and our relationship to it. So we hope to be able to have some discussion after all the work we do. So the time ahead will be divided into 3 parts. The first part is going to be devoted to reinforcing our sovereignty. And we'll do some work to reinforce our sovereignty, because sovereignty is so important in relationship to collective consciousness. The second part will be devoted to examining our relationship to collective consciousness and the impact of the coronavirus on all of us, these events that we've been experiencing. And that will be an opportunity for some meditation, and some self-healing work that we do. And the third part will be devoted to reinforcing ourselves in a right relationship with the earth. Because in so many ways, our relationship with the collective consciousness involves limitations and obstacles. The question is, how do we live? How do we live as human beings in a right relationship? And we'll explore that in terms of the earth. So with that, I want to move on to talking about sovereignty. And sovereignty is a concept that Amorah Quan Yin teaches us, that she places a lot of emphasis on. And we all maybe know what we think that word means. For Amorah, what this meant was the principle that you are your own master, that no one has authority over you, that we are all companions on the spiritual road. And so you are the one who has the authority over yourself. And that authority is not to be given away to anyone else. And it's not to be given away to the collective consciousness of humanity either. So sovereignty is such an important concept for Amorah. And this is a kind of sovereignty that invites us to be in alignment with our higher self. So I'd like to do a little meditation, guide us into a meditation to connect with our higher self. And for the way that we do it this evening, we're going to be starting to make that connection from within us, from the inside of us, and then we work out. As a preliminary to that, we're going to set space. And I'm going to try to set space in a very simple way, using two different kinds of energies. One, an earth energy, and one, a cosmic energy. The earth energy that we're going to call upon for setting our space is connected to the crystals of the earth. And if you just imagine in your mind that the earth is saturated with crystals everywhere, and at the core of the earth, even in the core metals of the center of the earth, there's crystalline structures. Crystalline consciousness is a very important part of earth consciousness. And we're going to connect with the consciousness of the crystals and ask for their help in bringing in crystalline energy. Then we're going to bring in a cosmic energy. And for that, we're going to make a connection to one of the members of the higher council of the Dolphin Star Temple. We're going to ask for the presence of Goddess Antares, and we will draw from the teachings of Antares to add to the energies that we bring in from the earth. Okay? So, if you would make yourself comfortable, take one deep breath and release it. Close your eyes now and reach out with your feelings to all the vibrations of the earth and ask for a connection to the vibrational level of the crystals of the earth. Ask to be connected to the consciousness of all the crystals of the earth, because they're all in constant psychic communication with each other. And ask to be connected to the crystalline grid that surrounds the earth. All around the earth, there is a grid of crystalline energy that holds the elements of the earth's sacred geometry. we're asking for a special connection to the crystalline grid of the earth. And we ask for a connection to the consciousness of the crystals. And we ask for their help now as we ask for a field of the most beautiful divine crystalline sacred geometry to be placed around us. Ask for a field of the most beautiful divine crystalline sacred geometry to be placed around you. A crystalline structure with many facets, an earth energy to hold ourselves in safety and purity, a field of the most beautiful divine crystalline sacred geometry that helps our energies, the energies of our light body, to come into greater and greater alignment with sacred geometry. And now we ask for the presence of Goddess Antares. We ask for the presence of Antares to help us now. And we ask for an Antares sphere of oneness to be placed around us. An Antares sphere of oneness, the sphere which is the most beautiful and perfect forms of all sacred geometry. An Antares sphere of oneness. And we ask now to surrender ourselves to alignment with oneness, to surrender to alignment with the oneness, which is the great truth of all things, the oneness of all things, one divine light, one energy, one divine creator to everything that is. We ask to be held in an Antares sphere of oneness. And in this way, the finite aspect of who we are, our finite aspect as beings of the earth, is joined with our infinite aspect as beings of the oneness, of beings of divine light. And we hold that space around us. And now, one more thing, to go beyond the communication through our electronic screens so that we are joined together in community at a spiritual level, at an energetic level. Ask at this time for a field of bilocation to be placed around you. Ask for a field of bilocation. And we ask to be joined together in the meeting spaces of the City of Light at Mount Shasta. Ask that we are joined together in our community, in a meeting space, an open meeting space within the City of Light, within the City of Light that's anchored in Mount Shasta. And in this way, we are physically in one location and energetically joined together. And now to do the work of reaffirming the connection with our higher self. And make sure now that your eyes are closed and feel the space around you. And I ask you to let go of all perceptions of anything outside of yourself. Let go of all perceptions of the world around you, around your physical body. and focus on just the space within yourself. And within that space, I ask you to bring all of your attention to your heart center, to feel the space inside your chest, and give all of your attention to that center of light that is your heart center, that is the center of your beingness. And if any thoughts of anything else come into your mind, release those thoughts. If there's anything else impinging on your consciousness, let it go and bring all of your attention to the light that's within you. And bring yourself to a place where there's only that light and you. Now we want to make a request of that light that we hold within us. Ask that light to share with you the vibration that is most intrinsically in alignment with your true self. What is the vibration that expresses and captures you? Maybe that vibration has a rhythm. Maybe that vibration is like a song. Oh, what you can do is you can ask that ball of light to share with you the song that best expresses your unique energy, your divine self. And maybe it's more than a song. Maybe you can see yourself dancing, or you see yourself through some other kind of artistic expression. Whatever it is, ask for that expression that best captures your inner light, your inner character, the uniqueness that is you. And let that vibration, let that song or dance or whatever radiate out from the center of you. Let it radiate out, expanding that ball of light, reaching outward. Whatever expresses you, let's express it out through your entire chest area. The song, which is you, the dance, which is you, the very essence of who you are and what you are. This is the embodiment of your higher self, you as the unique divine being that you are. Let it radiate out. Let it expand. Let it expand out until that energy, that vibration, fills the entire space of your physical body. Send that feeling to every aspect of yourself. This is me. This is my expression. This is my joy. And let it grow further. Let that vibration, let that song expand out to fill all the space of your aura, that it fills all the space of your auric field, all the space of your light body, radiating out that which is you. And let it fill you. Let it fill everything that you are. And as it fills its way out to the boundaries of your aura, know that this is you. This is your energy. This is your light body of which you are the sovereign master. This is what is given to you. This is the place of your mastery and no further. This is the only thing in life that you have total and absolute control over. You have only illusory control over anything else, but you have total control over yourself and your light and your destiny. And let that song sing out. Let it sing out to the earth. Sing that song to the earth. Sing out to the whole world around you. That vibration, that unique quality that is yours. And while holding on to that feeling, that identity, that special soul song that is the core of you, I'm going to ask you to take a deep breath, to hold it, and then release it. So now take in one deep breath and hold it. And release. That helps us to internalize and integrate the energies that we've been holding. So now I want to turn to a discussion of the collective anxiety. And to talk about the collective anxiety, we also have to talk about collective consciousness. I think this topic came up for me because the arrival of coronavirus has had an effect of making us all aware of how thoroughly interconnected we are. And there's a sense in which we have an interconnection at the physical level. Of course, we've been made aware of that. But it's more than just the physical level. There's something else. You know, we can feel the anxiety that's around us. We can feel the anxiety in other people. And it's not merely a product of watching the news. It's something which is palpable, something that you can feel. And in that way, I think that we've all been maybe shaken enough to be aware that we're connected to something bigger that's bridging across all of us. Maybe we were always aware that we were in some relationship to collective consciousness, but a major disruptive event like this makes that awareness much easier for us. So clearly, one of the things that we experience now is that we're in this together, not just at the physical level, but also at a kind of etheric level, at an energetic and spiritual level. So you might want to think about the question of what is this collective consciousness? You know, and in a very simple way, we could say that this collective consciousness is something that we share. It's thoughts, thought forms, behavior patterns. It's all kinds of attitudinal aspects of our lives that are not just our own, but are also ours along with other people. And I think an important aspect of this to understand is that this is a psychic connection, that we are so psychically connected to one another. In fact, This is where humanity's psychic energy is mostly invested. It is invested in feeling out to the collective and sensing what the collective is thinking and what the collective is feeling, checking ourselves with the collective, constantly monitoring ourselves in relationship to other people. But it's this shared consciousness that's the mechanism by which this happens. Maybe the origins of this go back to our life as hunters and gatherers, because as hunters and gatherers living in a small tribe, we learn to be psychically interconnected with everybody in our tribe. The tribes were able to communicate over cross distances and communicate thoughts, without the spoken word. And then when tribal society broke down and other things came in, we still had this capacity for psychically monitoring everyone else, the psychically being interconnected. So this is a major part of ourselves and our lives. Maybe one of the things that helps us to understand the significance of this is to look at the relationship of collective consciousness with our healing. Now, all of us who are healers and all of us who've been through healing sessions probably know that we spend a lot of our time attending to our issues or attending to our needs in the belief that these are personal. And we very often feel embarrassed or we feel shame about personal things that are going along in us, when in fact, a lot of these issues are at their root collective, not personal. Our healing has a personal side and it has a collective side. And sometimes the personal side seems so difficult to heal. And that's in part because the collective side we haven't really dealt with. So healing always should be done, I think, with an eye toward how the collective, contributes to this. Issues like shame. Shame is a collective issue. There's a collective structure in our shared consciousness about shame. So hard to separate ourselves from shame when we still are connected to the collective consciousness. So you can think of this collective consciousness as a collection of thought forms and structures of ideas that we've put together. We've created it and we've given energy to it. We can't see it in the third dimensional world, but it's a huge aspect of the fourth dimensional world. And it's just as real as houses or trees. It's just that it's fourth dimensional. So I'm going to call this the collective web, the interconnection of all of these different thought forms that we've given energy to. And it's a product of human beings. And like many products of human beings, there are some wonderful, useful things there, and there are some difficult, controlling, and abusive things there. There is in our lives very often a period when we're growing up when we're discovering our relationship to the collective consciousness. It's something that our parents probably help to shape in us. And it's very often the case that there's some encounter with the collective that creates a wound that creates some fear that we have and we hold about our relationship with the collective. It could be a fear of abandonment. It could be a fear of being put into poverty. It could be a fear of being persecuted, or a fear of loneliness, or a fear of being shamed. But we've had this encounter with the collective consciousness, and it has created in us a fear. And in response to that, we very often create a codependency with the collective consciousness, like cords connecting us to the collective consciousness, that we need relief from our fear. In exchange, we give our energy and we give our power away. This is why sovereignty is such an important issue for our life with the collective consciousness. And so our goal in helping to release the kind of anxiety that we experience now with the collective consciousness goes back to the core of our relationship with collective consciousness, to heal all of our codependencies, to heal the things that have kept us in wrong relationship with the collective consciousness. And we all know that there are ways in which the collective consciousness has been controlling and abusive of human beings. We need to take our power back. So to do this healing now, I ask you again to sit comfortably, to close your eyes, and would like you to think about focusing on one core fear that you have that connects you in an improper, unhealthy relationship with the collective consciousness. Maybe it's a fear of abandonment, poverty, persecution, loneliness, shame, whatever it is for you. And if there's no one theme that comes up for you, then we work on the theme as a whole. To think, to connect and to feel the fear that you have or what the collective could do to you. And now I want you to visualize in front of yourself a miniature version of yourself. I want you to visualize that aspect of yourself that is trapped in relationship with the collective consciousness through this fear. That part of you that's stuck in relationship to the collective consciousness. And if it's not one issue, think of this as the body of all of the ways in which you've given your power away to the collective. All the ways that you've bought into the collective in exchange for some help with your fears. And if you have that image in front of you, I would like you to raise your hands and place your hands around that image with the palms facing inward, so that you're holding that image between your hands. And we're going to take the power to heal ourselves into our own hands, and ask yourself to send to that image all the love and compassion that you need to release yourself from that core fear, to send yourself, to give yourself love and compassion. Fill the space of the fear within you and replace it with love. And now I ask you to make a connection again to the crystalline grid of the earth. Make a connection to the crystalline grid of the earth, and ask the crystals to help you send crystalline energy through that image of yourself. To send the crystalline energy, that energy of sacred geometry, sacred earth geometry. This is a powerful energy for destroying and erasing thought forms, breaking down structures that are out of alignment with sacred geometry. Ask that you be filled with the energy of the crystalline sacred geometry. Just give yourself as much as you need. And now also, around that image of yourself, ask for an Antares sphere of oneness. An Antares sphere of oneness all around and through that aspect of yourself. And ask that that aspect surrender to oneness. Surrender to oneness. The Antares sphere of oneness helps to strengthen everything in us that's in alignment with oneness, and it diminishes everything that's out of alignment. It rebuilds us from the inside out. And now release that image of yourself that's between your hands. And we're going to ask for a new image. We ask for an image of ourselves that shows all the aspects of ourselves that have been affected by the outbreak of the coronavirus. All of our fears, all of our thought forms, all the things that have affected us. Ask for an image in front of yourself that's the embodiment of all the ways that you've been taken out of balance with yourself, all the ways in which you've lost center, all the ways that you need to find yourself restored. You who've been affected by the collective consciousness and its campaign of fear, ask that all of that fear be gathered up in this image and send to that image of yourself all the love and compassion that you can. Send to yourself love and compassion to release yourself from this fear, to release yourself from all of the concerns and anxiety that's been created through the collective consciousness around the virus. We send love and compassion at the core. And next, we ask the crystalline grid of the earth to help send us the crystalline energy. And we send the crystalline energy through our hands and into that image to dissolve all the thought forms, to dissolve everything that's out of alignment with sacred geometry. And finally, we call upon the help of Antares, and we ask for an Antares sphere of oneness to be placed around that image of ourselves. An Antares sphere of oneness. And we surrender everything that's there to the truth of oneness. That everything that's out of alignment with the oneness of all should be dissolved and released. When you're ready, relax your hands. We take in, again, a deep breath and hold it to integrate all the healing that we've just accomplished. We take in a deep breath, hold it, and release. The principle of sovereignty taught by Amorah Quan Yin is very rigorous. It doesn't allow for our giving our power away to the collective thought forms that so rule the world. It tells us that we must be vigilant, that we must be like spiritual warriors in examining all the ways in which we give our power away. Because underneath of every way that we do this is some imbalance, some codependency that is not in alignment with our true selves. And so it often raises the question then, what is a good relationship? What is it that we can do to take in the knowledge of the world around us and be doing it in a right way? Well, now I'd like to do the third part of this work, and to use the ancient technique of blending with it, and we do this with the earth as a strengthening to our true selves, a strengthening with our higher self, and in relationship with the earth. Once again, combining the infinite cosmic aspect of ourselves with the finite aspect of ourselves in the physical world. So the process of blending is one in which we spread our consciousness and become part of something other than ourselves, but without making any demands, without there being any conditions, without there being anything present other than the exchange of love. It's to be blended with another being and to give love and receive love without conditions. And so we're going to do a little meditation now to help us blend with our Mother Earth, in right relationship. So again, if you would close your eyes, and I would invite you to let go of all perceptions you have, all perceptions of the solidness of things around you, all perceptions of the physical world, and to shift your perceptions to the energies of the world. Shift your perceptions to the world of energy that's all around us. And visualize yourself as pure energy, as pure energy. And see yourself floating on the edge of the earth, floating on the edge of the earth as a being of pure energy. And allow yourself now to drift down into the earth, to gently drift your energy through the earth's energy, drifting downward, closer and closer to the core of the earth, to what is the heart space of the earth, into the center of the earth, to blend your energy with the energy of the earth. And let your energy just expand out in whatever way is natural to you, to feel that you're not necessarily holding the shape of your body, but you're moving out into the body of Mother Earth. And now ask Mother Earth to share with you her vibration, the vibration that is most uniquely the true self of Mother Earth. Maybe you take it in as a song or a dance, but let Mother Earth sing to you about herself, to sing her joy, to sing about her unique identity. This is a song that the Earth sings to the other planets. This is the song that the Earth sings to the sun. The Earth sings her song out to the universe, song of the unique qualities of the Earth energy and Earth consciousness. And let yourself move out and expand into the Earth. Expand. Expand out. To come to a place where there is no separation between you and the Earth. To the place of no separation, where we're joined together in oneness. And say either to yourself or aloud now, I am the Earth. I am the Earth. To know the Earth. To be the Earth. We receive love from the Earth. We give love to the Earth. No conditions. A free exchange. And in that exchange, our consciousness is expanded, and the consciousness of the Earth is expanded too. We give to each other, exchanging the gifts of our natures, of the lives that we've led. So, and now, from a place of gratitude, for the earth and everything we have in our relationship with the earth. We ask now to return to our physical bodies. We release the field of bilocation so that we can carry this energy back to our physical bodies, back to the places where we all originate. To carry this back. And I think this is so important for the future. We now have entered into a new era. The passing of Amorah marked the end of one era, and we've entered into the beginning of another. What is important for humanity now is to be totally in control and conscious of what energetic relationships we maintain. And so it's not in giving away our power to the collective and to the misdirection that occurs in the collective. But we must be able to walk the earth as children of the earth, to hold the psychic connection to the earth and wholeness of the earth, because in fact we are part of the earth, to hold that and live our lives from that place. So this exercise of doing the blending with the earth is a good way of strengthening that aspect of ourselves. So I think that brings us to the end of the things that I was hoping that we would do, or to help us hold our center and hold ourselves in alignment with the earth and oneness through all the times that are ahead and whatever evolves next with the coronavirus, to not be available to the fear that's spread through the collective consciousness. So I've said a number of things during the hour about sovereignty. And if you're interested in maybe reading something about sovereignty, I'd like to recommend Amorah's book, Oneness. There's an essay about sovereignty in the book, and that's really a great starting point for coming to a deeper understanding of what sovereignty might mean. And if you're interested in learning more about the nature of collective consciousness, I like to recommend this book, one that I've written, called Breaking Bubbles and Awakening Oneness. And there's a considerable amount of space and dialogue in here, giving understanding to how collective consciousness happens, and also how we free ourselves from the collective consciousness. So, with thanks for all of your participation. As I said at the beginning, in case you heard it or didn't, I've tried to make some time available now for questions, especially because there's so much to ask about in terms of what we're doing right now. And I've asked my friend Katerina Shovra to look at whatever questions might have come up during the hour. And if you have questions, to ask them now, or if you have comments that you would like to make on these subjects, to make them now so that we could have a little bit of time together to discuss things. So we're open for questions, and sounds fine. Yes. So please, I'm going to ask Katerina to. I've missed a lot of comments. Ask Katerina to forward questions to me. Okay. So I've got from Katerina here. Thanks for healing from Caro. Thank you, Caro. And the question, can we, and if so, separate ourselves from collective consciousness so we don't get affected of third dimensional thoughts and outdated behaviors? Yes, the question is in part, where are all of these limiting third dimensional thoughts and behaviors? Where are they? A large portion of them are simply encoded in collective consciousness as part of the culture that we share. And I've asked various people at other times to sort of estimate this, but if you think about your daily life, the thoughts that go through your head and the things that you do in your daily life, one good question for yourself is, how much of this is the collective consciousness and how much of it is your individuality? People almost always say that more than half of it is collective, maybe 80%, 90%. Aha. So there's a lot of ways in which we're living in loops of behaviors that are part of this collective consciousness. The question then is, what's the part that we need to release? Because we need collective consciousness to have shared symbols, shared understandings. When we look at a tree, there's a cultural understanding of a tree. So it's only those parts of collective consciousness that are limiting to us, that are just like codependency, that are just like cords that are connected to us. Those are the aspects of collective consciousness that we need to release ourselves from. And of course, this is an aspect of the collective web that is very active. We know that there's consciousness to the collective web that is very controlling and would like to shape humanity's future. What's important for us? It's important that we separate ourselves from that control so that we're the ones who are building humanity's future by, for instance, psychic connections to the earth, and then a relationship with one another, a network of shared consciousness that is freely given without restriction and without limitation. Yeah. So it's a work that's very important moving into the era ahead, I think. Yeah, I'm looking for other questions now. Getting lots of thanks. I'm very happy. I'm very happy if this event of the coronavirus becomes a turning point for liberating ourselves. That rather than getting trapped in the anxiety and the fear, that we use it as an impulse, as an inspiration to change our lives and to move further and further into our own sovereignty. Any other questions? Yeah? You like having opportunity for questions? It's something that we can maybe continue. Yeah, there's a question. Wait a sec. Okay. Well, first, Sheston says that she has not thought of giving love to the earth. And of course, what we want is to be a spiritual people giving our love to the earth and also being available to receive. People on a spiritual path sometimes are much better at giving love than they are at receiving it. We have to work on the receiving part too, and that we don't limit ourselves in that way, so that we can step into that state of oneness with the earth, to be extensions of the earth and part of the earth, and share that experience with the younger generation. I'm looking for Katerina to send me another question if there's one there. No? Maybe maybe we've reached the end. So with much love and great thanks, we bring this to a close. And for everyone here and for all the help that we've received from the ones that are beyond the physical world, as you've given your love to us, we give love back to you. We receive love and we give love in a never-ending cycle. So be it. And thank you for being with us here today. We bring things to a close. Blessings on everyone. And thanks once again to the Dolphin Star Temple for making this event possible. Love to you all.